Cleopatra invited Antony to come to Egypt before departing from Tarsos, leading him to visit Alexandria by November 41 BC. Antony was well received by the populace of Alexandria, both for his heroic actions in restoring Ptolemy XII to power and coming to Egypt without an occupation force like Caesar had done. In Egypt, Antony continued to enjoy the lavish royal lifestyle he had witnessed aboard Cleopatra's ship docked at Tarsos. He also had his subordinates drive the Parthians out of Anatolia and Syria. Cleopatra carefully chose Antony as her partner for producing further heirs, as he was deemed the most powerful Roman figure following Caesar's demise. With his powers as a triumvir, Antony also had the broad authority to restore former Ptolemaic lands to Cleopatra. While it is clear that both Cilicia and Cyprus were under Cleopatra's control by November 1938 BC, the transfer probably occurred earlier in the winter of 41 to 40 BC, during her time spent with Antony. By the spring of 40 BC, Antony left Egypt due to troubles in Syria. Cleopatra provided Antony with 200 ships for his campaign and as payment for her newly acquired territories. She would not see Antony again until 37 BC, but she maintained correspondence, and evidence suggests she kept a spy in his camp. By the end of 40 BC, Cleopatra had given birth to twins, Alexander Helios and Cleopatra Selene II, both of whom Antony acknowledged as his children. Helios, the sun, and Selene, the moon, were symbolic of a new era of societal rejuvenation and an indication that Cleopatra hoped Antony would repeat the exploits of Alexander the Great by conquering the Parthians. Mark Antony's Parthian campaign was disrupted by the Perusian War, initiated by his ambitious wife Fulvia against Octavian. Fulvia and Antony's brother Lucius Antonius were eventually besieged by Octavian at Perugia and then exiled from Italy, after which Fulvia died while attempting to reach Antony. Her death led to a reconciliation of Octavian and Antony at Brundisium in Italy in September 40 BC. Although the agreement solidified Antony's control of the Roman Republic's territories east of the Ionian Sea, it also stipulated that he concede Italia, Hispania, and Gaul, and marry Octavian's sister Octavia the Younger, a potential rival for Cleopatra. In December 40 BC, Cleopatra received Herod in Alexandria as an unexpected guest and refugee. Herod had been installed as a tetrarch by Antony but was soon at odds with Antigonus II Mattathias. Cleopatra attempted to provide him with a military assignment, but Herod declined and traveled to Rome, where the triumvirs Octavian and Antony named him king of Judea. This act put Herod on a collision course with Cleopatra, who desired to reclaim the former Ptolemaic territories that comprised his new Herodian kingdom. Relations between Antony and Cleopatra perhaps soured when he married Octavia and sired her two children, Antonia the Elder and Antonia Minor, moving his headquarters to Athens. However, Cleopatra's position in Egypt was secure. Her rival Herod was occupied with civil war in Judea that required heavy Roman military assistance, but received none from Cleopatra. Since the authority of Antony and Octavian as triumvirs had expired on January 1, 37 BC, Octavia arranged for a meeting at Tarentum, where the triumvirate was officially extended to 33 BC. With 2 legions granted by Octavian and 1,000 soldiers lent by Octavia, Antony traveled to Antioch, where he made preparations for war against the Parthians. Antony summoned Cleopatra to Antioch to discuss pressing issues, such as Herod's kingdom and financial support for his Parthian campaign. Cleopatra brought her now 3-year-old twins to Antioch, where Antony saw them for the first time and where they probably first received their surnames Helios and Selene. In order to stabilize the East, Antony not only enlarged Cleopatra's domain, he also established new ruling dynasties and client rulers who would be loyal to him. Cleopatra gained significant former Ptolemaic territories in the Levant, including nearly all of Phoenicia minus Tyre and Sidon. She also received Ptolemy Akko, Coele Syria, the region surrounding Jericho, and a portion of the Nabatean kingdom around the Gulf of Aqaba. To the west, Cleopatra was handed Cyrene along the Libyan coast, as well as Etanos and Aulis in Roman Crete. Antony's enlargement of the Ptolemaic realm by relinquishing directly controlled Roman territory was exploited by his rival Octavian. Octavian fostered the narrative that Antony was neglecting his virtuous Roman wife Octavia, granting both her and Livia extraordinary privileges of sacrosanctity. In 36 BC, Cleopatra accompanied Antony to the Euphrates for his journey toward invading the Parthian Empire, then returned to Egypt, perhaps due to her advanced state of pregnancy. By the summer of 36 BC, she had given birth to Ptolemy Philadelphus, her second son with Antony. Antony's Parthian campaign in 36 BC turned into a complete debacle, losing some 30,000 men. He arrived at Leucocome near Berytus in December, engaging in heavy drinking before Cleopatra arrived to provide funds and clothing for his battered troops. Antony desired to avoid the risks involved in returning to Rome and traveled with Cleopatra back to Alexandria to see his newborn son.